January brings into focus our mental wellness. In present times, the need for this awareness cannot be overemphasized. It is also important to highlight that both physical health and mental health contribute to our mental wellness. A key concept in this definition is realization or recognition, emphasizing a sense of mental mindedness. Note also, mindedness is only an aspect of mental wellness, whereby we're able to perceive a base level of our mental status. In other words, our normal mental state of emotional and psychological balance at which we perform at our optimum. Now, though most times there exist the dynamics of various emotions such as feelings of joy, sadness, overwhelm, calm, we want to attain that status that will enable us achieve our maximum potential while we maintain a balanced mental health. Indeed, this is a very broad topic, and that is why in the next few minutes I will be highlighting on elements of stress and general tips that will curb the impact of these stressors on our mental wellness. Hi, I'm Dr. Francisca Osage, and thank you for joining me on Francisca on Health Matters. First of all, it is important to reiterate that mental wellness involves every one of us. And mental wellness isn't just about our mental health, it also entails our physical health. However, while certain elements of our physical health can be ascertained, such as our blood pressure, our blood glucose levels, indicators that prompt us to take actions to improve on our physical health, there are no tangible means of assessing our mental well-being, and this emphasizes our responsibility to be highly cognizant of our mental status, recognizing various levels, from levels of which we perform best to levels of limits at which we risk developing a mental crisis, or what is commonly referred to as a mental breakdown. It's also important to recognize a distinction between poor mental health and a mental illness. A person can experience a poor mental health without being diagnosed with a mental illness. A person diagnosed with mental illness can experience periods of physical, mental, and social well-being. A person's mental health can change over time depending on many factors. When the demands placed on a person exceeds their resources or coping abilities, their mental health can be impacted, which brings us back to recognizing elements that can cause stress and a few ways, albeit effective, in which to tackle stress. Stress elements can present in forms of family, friends, vocational, health, financial, and what I call social or social connections. Now, family, friends stressors plays out in forms of dynamics between spouses or partners, children, siblings, parents, close friends, close associates, best friends. Within these dynamics, the stress comes in various forms, and depending on the relationships. There could be feelings of anxiety when trying to meet obligations or commitments, and the feelings of running low on expectations. Now, although within these dynamics, every situation is different, which might require a unique approach. However, a common approach in all situations is verbal communication, creating opportunities to express fears, worries, thoughts, and concerns, which can lead to understanding and empathy and support from family members and friends. And then there's the vocational, and these will include our jobs, our work environment, our school tasks. These involve settings or routines we perform while fulfilling a purpose. These vocations are, for most folks, usually within environments away from home, where we commit most of our time. And these tasks at times can be the source of stress. It could be stress of trying to meet a deadline, or when work performance is questioned, or working with what you might consider a difficult person. There's the fear of losing a job. It is important to dedicate a time for resolution, be it daily at the start of the day or weekly at the start of the week. And during resolution, amongst other things, try to identify the areas causing stress. If it's something that could be solved, try seeking on strategies that will cause or produce a positive outcome. And then there's the financial. And this is a very crucial stressor, especially in 2024 with extremely high cost of living and inflation. And this appears to be one that is global to varying extents. And I know this can be challenging, and I'm not equipped to educate on finances. But I think a general principle to reducing our financial stress is to assess our financial status, ascertaining our income versus expenditure. Our total income should be above our overall expenditure. And if this is still challenging, we probably can seek creative ways of bringing more income and or cutting down on our expenses, having figured out our wants versus our needs. The health stressor has a direct effect on our wellness. Poor health impacts our performance and our productivity. We can take initiatives of practicing healthy living, such as avoiding unhealthy eating and lifestyle, and availing ourselves for preventive health services such as periodic health checks and screenings. And if we're dealing with certain medical conditions, availing ourselves for follow-up appointments. And finally, there's the social connections. And many aspects here stems from what I consider a modern day problem, especially with the encroaching of social media into our lives. Stress here is the modern day version of trying to keep up with the Joneses. Now, the Joneses are not only the neighbors, but people we hardly know who might live thousands of miles away, but we observe through social media such as Facebook, Instagram, and then try to compete with. The stress here comes from observing or projected lifestyle of those seen on these platforms and then starting to make comparisons, then developing feelings of inadequacy, and this makes one prioritize wants over needs because of the pressure to keep up with Mr. and Mrs. Jones. Now, if this becomes a source of stress, it might be wise to limit the use of such media. When faced with stress that challenges one's mental wellness, overall, it is advisable to seek professional counsel. Again, mindedness or recognition is a very essential aspect of our mental wellness. Know yourself, recognize your limits, and engage in ways good for you and those around you. Again, I hope you found this informative and educative, and if you've had, please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.